Are you feeling the pressure to publish your first or your next book? This is so common. I hear on a weekly basis from potential authors and thought leaders on why they need to publish a book yesterday. And they share this truth with a sense of burn your house down urgency, like everything in their world is going to fall apart. And this is understandable given that when you want to change the conversation in your industry, it's normal to have the eagerness to want that happen sooner than later. And whether this urgency comes in the form of pressure from clients and colleagues, pressure even in the form of marketing emails from industry experts, or even just pressure from the voice in your head saying, gosh, you should have had a book by now. What's wrong with you? This urgency can be a problem. It can cause you to skip steps and focus on the wrong questions. So I want to talk about 3 reasons not to publish, or to publish just yet. And as I share these reasons, I'm going to riff off of some of the concepts that Janet Goldstein and I created for our book breakthrough workshop that we ran for 3 years in Manhattan. And it's amazing to me, even though so much has changed in the publishing industry, these challenges remain the same. So these concepts we developed in 2010 are more relevant than ever before. So here's the first reason. Number 1, your idea may not be right, or it may not be ready. So here's what this may look like. So say your idea doesn't match your audience. So you've got a draft or an idea for a book for a corporate audience when really your business model is focused around serving small business owners. Or perhaps you have an idea for a self-help or professional personal development book in hopes that it will grow your consulting practice. And these types of concepts are not aligned with your business model. So Michael Bungay Stanier, who's the author of The Coaching Habit, came out just a little bit over a year ago and has sold almost 200,000 copies. It's easy to look at a book like this and say, oh, it's really easy to come up with the right concept. And yet Michael recently shared the story of his struggle to find that right concept. He went through several failed book proposals and lots of strife and struggle to come up with this right concept. And this was true. Michael has an established business. He has a really clear sense of his audience. And I share that example to say that it's not as simple as saying, hey, I want to write a book and I'm going to come up with this amazing concept. So think about whether your idea is right for your audience and it's ready. The second reason is that the timing is too early or it's off. I remember a guy that came to Book Breakthrough back in 2011 that had a finished manuscript that he was wanting to publish. And in this manuscript, there were a lot of great ideas that were really relevant for his target audience and were relevant for his business model. But with that draft, there was a couple of things wrong. He hadn't tested any of those ideas with his audience, and he also didn't have a platform or a following built up around these concepts. And when you publish too early, you can write in isolation and not have anybody ready or interested or looking forward to the book when it comes out. So in contrast, let's look at someone like Joey Coleman. Joey is an in-demand keynote speaker and a recognized industry leader around the topic of customer experience. I had the pleasure of meeting Joey at Heroic Public Speaking last year. He was on my Business of Speaking panel. And Joey's amazing. He's a $25,000 keynote speaker and at the time didn't have a book. It's like, wow, how do you become a recognized leader without a book? He tested his concepts through consulting and then keynotes. He took time to build that audience. And as it turns out, Joey has now a major book deal with a great publisher. And when his book comes out, he's positioned for incredible success because he took time to build the audience and to test his idea thoroughly before trying to publish. So the third reason is that your strategy is not fully baked. So every author wants to sell books, and that's, of course you want to sell books, so you're going to write one. But the goal of selling books is not enough. You need to think about things like business model, your stage as a thought leader, as part of your strategy in order to choose the right publishing pathway and to approach things in a way so that you'll have long-term success. I remember an author that came to me, 3 or 4 years ago, who had a book deal with a traditional publisher. It's kind of one of those new book deals where he bought his way to the publishing deal. And the concepts in the book were great, but it was not aligned with his business model and his larger goals to grow his platform and as a thought leader. And as a result, even though he had this traditionally published book, it didn't really do anything for him. So it's easy to think the strategy is to publish first and then figure out the strategy, but we want to reverse that and say, what is the bigger goal beyond selling books? So one of my clients, Barbara Trotline, who's the author of Change Intelligence, she thought things through right from the beginning. Her book is published with Greenleaf Book Group in Austin, which is in a hybrid publishing option, which allows you to attain your intellectual property rights while having national and international distribution. So Barbara knew that aside from selling books, that she wanted to grow the keynote side of her business, and that eventually she wanted to have a certification program around her intellectual property and concepts. And so for her, thinking through all those aspects of the strategy, including the publishing pathway, not only has set her up for success as far as the book is concerned, but Barbara is a recognized leader in her industry as a result of her being very intentional about how she approached her publishing strategy. So here's the action that I had for you. Think about your current book concept or idea, whether you're just getting started or whether you've already written, part of your draft, you have a whole manuscript. Ask yourself, is my idea ready? Do I need to develop it more fully or test it with my audience? Number 2, is the timing right? Do I have the resources? Is my timing right in terms of my stage as a thought leader and as far as the development of my platform? And then thirdly, have I really thought through this strategy more than wanting to have author as part of my bio and to sell books? Because I will say that publishing the wrong book is worse than having no book at all. And so you by thinking through these strategies, you can not only save yourself an immense amount of time, money, and energy, but you're going to position yourself for greater success and long-term impact. And isn't that what we are talking about? Long after the launch, how can you find staying power in your industry and change the conversation through publishing, speaking, and other aspects of your platform? Okay, so that's all for now. Leave your questions and comments, and I'd love to hear what things are working for you as you identify the right pathway to publishing. Bye for now.